Alright, so going to show some of you who may or may not know how to clean your guns here. Mainly for a guy at work that I don't even think knows how to take his guns apart. First thing you want to do, obviously, is clear the weapon so you'll see that there is no mag in there. And go ahead and clear the slide. Do the same thing with this one. There is no mag in this one, and you'll see it is cleared as well. Alright, so first things first, disassemble. And pull out the buffer spring and the barrel. Just usually set those aside. And you have slide and then the lower receiver. I usually use just old t-shirts as my rags, and Q-tips will be your best friend. Typically what I do first is oil everything down, let it sit for just a little bit, break up all that gunk that's on there. So right now I'm just taking the barrel and lubing it up. Let it run down through there a little bit. This is just some basic CLP, break free. Any kind of gun oil will work. Set that aside for now. Do the same thing with the slide. And with the spring here. And I don't put as much here on the lower receiver, just because it doesn't get quite as dirty. Alright, we'll set those aside, let those soak for a second. Now for the XD, pull the slide back on it, and then to disassemble this one, you rotate this upwards, and then this actually, release it forward, and you'll see the slide slides off. One thing I always try to do is just keep your hand on the buffer spring as you pull it out. That way you don't shoot it across the room. There's really not that much tension on that one. This weapon here actually fell off the top of this guy's vehicle. It rode down the interstate, and once he took a turn, it actually slid off into the ditch. So he got very lucky that he actually saw it happen. So this one has all kinds of dirt and gunk in it. You won't be able to see it through the camera, but there actually is dirt inside the barrel. So we're going to get it doused up there. Set it aside. And soak the spring real good here. Set it aside. And same thing on the slide here. Don't be afraid, you can't really use too much oil. Like Bob Ross used to say, put some happy little oil droplets here. I mean, it's totally fine. Soak the crap out of this thing, let it set, and then we're going to wipe it down here just a little bit. When you would pull the slide back on this weapon before, it had kind of a gritty sound, like there was sandpaper inside there. So I don't think this weapon had been cleaned for quite some time. And that dirt did not help when it flew into the ditch either. Alright, perfect. So at this point, it's just like washing anything else. I have this handy dandy toothbrush here that's got a smaller and a bigger bristle on it. And I just use it to scrub all the components. I'll show you here in just a little bit where the Q-tips come into play. what we're doing is just trying to scrub all this CLP down into all the crevices, get all the dirt off, all the action pieces, that way that they will be smooth when we wipe everything down. Alright, I'm going to let that sit for just a little bit, set it aside. I'll go ahead and grab the slide and I'm going to do the same thing. Rub it all down here. One thing when cleaning a gun, I will tell you, is I try to always lay something down, because there will be a bunch of black stuff that comes off of there. The gunshot residue, once it breaks up, this toothbrush really makes a mess of it. Learned, do not wear a light color shirt when doing this, because it will look like you've got soot all over you when you get done. Again, if you can see this here, you just want to rub that stuff all over the place, especially in where the firing pin comes out. Want to get all the gunk, make it all shiny again. Kind of like Dawn dishwashing soap. The longer that you let this stuff sit on there, the better it's going to break down all the gunk that's on there, and it wipes off much easier. Set that one aside there. We're going to go ahead and take the buffer spring, do the same with it. The buffer spring does come off here if you want to. I typically just leave it on there and just wipe it down there. It doesn't need too much. And then with the barrel, I'll wipe the outside of it. And hopefully in your cleaning kit, you have some bore brushes here. This one I've had for a long time. Comes with a little extension here, throw it on there. They make different sizes of these if you don't know. This one can be used for 40 cal, 45. And actually this one, the end of it is a little bit too big to go inside this one. So we'll screw it off and we'll get another size here. There we go. And then really, the way I was taught, run it through and pull it back through. So what this does is actually will follow the riflings inside your barrel and clean it at the same time. I've seen some people that actually use a back and forth motion. I don't think it will hurt it at all. But you want to break down all that stuff on the riflings. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and set that one aside and rub a little bit more here. Alright, so next what I do is I will take my t-shirt and just start to wipe everything down. Get all the majority of that CLP off of there. I lather it up even on the outside. It will also, if you've got rust on your weapon, it will actually rub off a lot of that rust as well. And we'll see here in just a second why the Q-tips come in handy. Alright, so you can see we've got the majority of that stuff wiped off. You can actually see on his weapon there where when it flew off of the top of his truck, scraped it up a little bit. Won't hurt it. And I don't know if you can see in the camera here, but it's still got some shiny spots in there, just where that residual CLP is. So next what we're going to do is grab these Q-tips, and this is where it gets a little bit tedious, but just use your Q-tip and put down inside there, and you're going to wipe out all the little spots. Once we get done and we put this weapon back together, we'll put a small couple drops of CLP on some of the action spots, put a little bit on the slide, we'll put a little bit back into the action, back in here where the firing pin is. You always want your weapon to be nice and lubed up. These Q-tips, they just won't last very long, so once they look like this, toss them. And we'll just continue to wipe it down. And at this point, I think what I'm going to do is I will set this aside. Since we've kind of talked about that there, I'll continue to wipe that down here in a little bit. With the buffer spring, real easy on this one. I actually just put it in my hand and I spin it like this. That way it will get all the extra CLP off here. And again, like I said, you can pull the tube, makes it even easier. And wipe it down, set it aside, and then you can do the same thing with the spring. And we'll set it aside as well. For the barrel here, not sure if you can see through the barrel there, but you can see we've got it nice and lubed up inside there. I'm going to go ahead and wipe down the outside of the barrel. And we're going to throw some cotton patches through here. So this one, I've got a box of patches that are still left here. Once I run out of these, what I've done in the past is I'll just cut pieces of the t-shirt off and just run it through there. Cleaning a gun really is not an exact science. You just want to get all the gunk out of it so that next time you go fire it, it goes bang. So these I usually just put it in the middle there, and we're going to run it through this thing a couple times. So you'll see here, and you'll see it wiped all that stuff off the inside. Then typically what I do is I flip it over. You can use these a couple different times. The tighter you have it inside there, when you push it through, the more crap it's going to take out of there. You can even get to the end there and then push it through the other way too. And what that's going to do, not sure if you can see in there, but it is going to make that thing super shiny and new. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and pause the video while I wipe everything else down. We will reassemble, and I'll show you how to oil her back up. Okay, so got everything wiped down, and now what we're going to do is go ahead and reassemble. So first thing, I'm going to go ahead and slide the barrel inside the slide here, and then we're going to place the buffer spring inside there, again while holding it, just so that it doesn't fly out. And you want to just, you've got your rails here, slide those back like so, and then what you want to do is you want to pull back on the slide until you can lock that up into the upright position like so. So it locks into there. Roll that one forward, and then let the slide roll. I'm going to rack it a couple times, and at this point what I'm going to do is put one drop of CLP inside there. I'm going to put just a little bit on the slide here, and I'm going to let it drain down inside there a little bit. And then I'm just going to put one drop inside the trigger housing here. Go ahead and wipe off any excess. Pull back on the side. Kind of work it in there a little bit. And give it one final wipe down. Any of that oil that may have came out of the grooves. Work it a couple more times, and there you have it. So we now have a clean XD40. Hope you like the video.